This is Jordan from Team J's Classroom Fun. Excited to be back with you today on the YouTube page. Please make sure you like, follow, click the bell so you don't miss any future videos. Today, I want to talk about two words that tend to be dreaded by students: word problems, or story problems, or whatever way you want to call them. Word problems. When kids hear like, oh, today we're doing story problems or word problems, sometimes you get that, oh, you get the groan, right? We've all heard it, we know. Word problems don't have to be that way though, and I'm going to tell you why. So one, I absolutely love using word problems in my classroom. I find there's many benefits to using them, some including, one, it provides context to what the kids are actually doing, because oftentimes when we're adding or subtracting or doing different things, there's no context to it. So it can be hard for some students to understand. Once we give them a story or a word problem, it helps them visualize what's happening, which can help them as they're working on their math skills. Another reason I like using them, you can use these for like all kinds of math skills. Like you could do two-step word problems. You could do multiplication or division. You could do elapsed time. You could do money. All kinds of different skills can be covered by this. And it's a great way for kids to practice. Three, they are going to work on their problem solving skills. As we know, critical thinking is extremely important, and being able to solve problems and figure things out is a skill that all students need. And so the more practice they get, the easier it'll get for them. Four, they can practice their math strategies. As we know too with teaching nowadays, there's not just one right way to get to the answer. So by doing word problems and things like that, it gives them a chance to try out different strategies, practice strategies, and the fifth reason it's a great thing is it gives them a chance to communicate that. Math communication is an important skill. We want kids to be able to understand what they're doing and be able to explain their thinking to others. And so word problems provide that opportunity. So let's talk about some ways that you can make them more engaging for your students. The first way you can make it more engaging is to put real life problems in there. I always love to, one, use kids' names. They love having kids' names in the class. I was like, whose name is in it today? Who's about today? They love having their names in the word problems. It also just kind of gets them a little more excited about it. The other thing I like to do is tie in student interest to these word problems. So if I know a certain student plays baseball, maybe I have a baseball word problem. Or if I know a certain student is going to be collecting something, like maybe they collect rocks or they collect special gems or something, right? Or Pokemon cards. We might have a word problem about that. So again, it just kind of brings them a little more into it. The other thing too is using real life problems. So anytime you have like a real life type thing, whether it's maybe something with cooking or, hey, I brought this many cookies, we have this many kids, how many can each person have? Any of those types of problems as well, where there's real world application, that really helps students get engaged into it, and it makes it more interesting for them. Next thing you can do, tip 2, for how to make word problems more engaging, group work. I know sometimes as teachers, we are like, well, in math, they need to do it. They need to get the answer. That is true, but give them a chance to work with a group. We do something at my school called Building Thinking Classrooms. If you haven't heard of it, it's amazing. I'll put a link to some information below for it, but let the kids work together. Let them try to solve the problem together. Let them try out different strategies together. Let them learn how, one, to work as a group, and two, give them a chance to bounce ideas off each other. Sometimes too, especially with more complicated word problems, having a chance to talk to someone else about the problem can really help them get going on solving it. Okay, number 3, I always like to have visual aid charts available. We create a lot of anchor charts in my classroom, and when we create those anchor charts, I then of course have them up around the room. When we're solving word problems, for students to be able to have those to go back to, it can be really helpful. So for example, if they have an addition word problem and we happen to have our addition strategy charts up where we have multiple different ways they could solve an addition problem, having that to refer back to can really help some students be able to solve the problem and also understand what to do, and it gives them some ideas of where to start. Because for a lot of kids with word problems, where to start is kind of where they get stuck. And the fourth tip to make these word problems more engaging, give students an opportunity to share. One of the things that I love to do with word problems, and I have kids share out at the end. So what I will do, I will give students a word problem and I go around, of course I'm monitoring, I'm also checking to see, okay, what strategies are everyone using? You know, did we get the correct answer? Do we need to go back and check our work? That kind of a thing. I also am picking who I'm going to have come up and share. So I try to pick students that are showing different strategies because we want to show kids there's multiple ways to get to the answer. And of course I ask students, would you be comfortable sharing today? Because sometimes some students don't want to, and that's okay as well. We don't want to put them on the spot. Then I will have the kids come up and share. I've done this a variety of ways. Sometimes I have them come up on the whiteboard, they write and solve their problem. Sometimes I'll use the document camera, sometimes I'll just hold it up. It depends like if we're on our whiteboard or a piece of paper. Then the kids will come up, they share what they did to get their answer. This is a great way to practice that math communication skill I was talking about. It also really shows understanding, because being able to solve the problem is one thing. Being able to actually explain our thinking to others, that's a whole nother level. So word problems are amazing. There's so many different things you can do with them, and I highly recommend you use them in your classroom. So I do have a freebie for you today. So if you go down to the description, I have in there some free addition word problems. I also have a set of free multiplication word problems and a set of free elapsed time word problems. The nice thing about all these word problems is they're already differentiated for you. So I have 3 different levels of each, and so you can kind of check them out, give them a try, have your kids give them a try, and you can try out some of these tips and see if it helps. Hope you have a great day. I'll be back later. Talk to you then.